We can if you want to.
All right, well, let's record this because I think this is valuable information for the public to have.
Okay.
No, I agree. I think there's like a whole science to how people like present themselves
Yeah.
like that. Like, I remember who. I don't remember. This might sound like a diss on somebody, but I don't remember who said it. But one of our friends always had a look like they were schlubby, not like purposely schlubby, but they were never like, oh, I care. Like they didn't have a look that was like, I care about my appearance. But they always had a comb with them, and they were always combing their hair. And somebody else pointed that out to me. They're like, they always look like they don't care about their appearance, but they comb their hair regularly, so they clearly do care about their appearance. And that kind of stuck with me.
What do you think the takeaway there is about that individual? I don't even know who you're talking about, by the way, so I guess it's safe. But yeah, what's the point?
I don't know. Like, I don't know if you remember like Catcher in the Rye, but like the way that like Holden Caulfield called his roommate a phony because his roommate looked really presentable, but used like a razor blade that was 4 years old or something.
Yeah.
And like disgusting.
Right.
I think it's like the reverse of that almost, where it's like this person opted for like a kind of like grunge look almost, where in reality like they weren't like a grunge person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like they weren't living in squalor, but they looked like they could if they wanted to. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. Is it similar to someone who like gets their outfit at Kmart, but their shoes are like the craziest thing, whatever?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. I would say that's just someone who cares about shoes and not like anything else.
Yeah, I mean, like, what about the other stuff? Like, they're saying at that point they're willing to give up a lot of other benefits in having, you know, nicer clothes for just having more expensive shoes. My camera is either wobbling or I'm high, and I fucking can't tell. It's wobbling. And it's wobbling because I'm touching my desk with my foot.
Yeah, I had that too. I had to stop leaning on the desk.
Okay.
Podcasting is a art, you know?
Really is.
Real artists. But what were we talking about?
Like somebody wearing all Walmart clothes. Not like to diss Walmart clothes, but like if somebody was wearing like Walmart clothes but had like $400 shoes, they could probably afford like $60 shoes and not Walmart clothes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but what if they don't care? What if they don't care about a Walmart shirt? What if, or you know, like, okay, yeah, I'll wear a solid plain whatever, but on the shoes I need these Balenciagas, so my total outfit costs $1,013 and my shoes cost $1,000. You know what I mean?
That says something about a person.
What though? Like, I'm trying to get to the meat.
I think it says that they're really into shoes. Like, that's the thing. Is like they're very into shoes. Like, I think for me that means that person's willing to give up like what they view as minor things for something that they really enjoy.
Yeah, I view it as a good thing. It's like, okay, well, you could not care about anything that you're wearing, but you're caring about something. So it's like, oh well, you know, you're putting in some effort. But even people who don't, it's not like I care really.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have a very hard time knowing how much a fit costs, you know, but
well, I don't know.
I think most people attempt to look a certain way when they go out in public, and I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's how people work. You gotta if you're I don't know, if you work at a bank, you look a certain way typically. If you work at a weed dispensary, you look a certain way, you know. That's just kind of how people have to work. Otherwise, it's like, I can't get your vibe from looking at you because I might think you're a poor, you know. That's how people.
I'm gonna kill my camera for a second and fix this. I literally can't. I can't even like breathe without this thing shaking.
It's no problem, boss. There's a Lil Yachty line on I think the song is Flex Up, but his line is just, I don't hang with brokes, I don't take advice. It's just like, I want to get to the point in my life where I could say something like that unironically, but I don't hang with brokes is one of the fucking craziest things you can say in a serious way.
That's so mean.
Like there's a credit score check when you just meet this man.
What is your FICA score?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I like my brother and I have very opposed styles, so I think that it's a way for us to tell the world that we're different, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, the world kind of knows you're different. Just like when that man walks into a room and when you walk into a room, it's a very different thing, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of it's a different energy and everything, but I think our like exterior appearance also kind of leans into that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, if you and Reese walked into a room naked, no one would confuse you, you know? No, it would be like, which one's Yazeed?
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I really dislike when people mistake me for my brother. And I think my brother dislikes when he gets mistaken for me as well.
Yeah. I knew kids in middle school who were twins, and I had conversations with them pretty often, and I still never really knew how to tell them apart. I never really knew which one I was talking to. It was kind of just like generic bullshit conversation that you could have with anybody, but as long as you don't say anything specific, like, remember that time we did that thing, or remember anything about your personal life, just avoid that stuff and it's all good. That's like most of my interactions with people, by the way. It's like, I don't know who the fuck you are. So I'm just like, yeah, you know, times are crazy out there. Weather's nice.
Sorry.
You're good.
I have no idea about the validity of this because it comes from just some random person on Reddit and they never cited a survey or anything like that. But according to them, the more like really casual interactions like that you have with people, generally the happier you are as a person.
If I had to see
like your happiness index is correlated with how many casual interactions, how many positive casual interactions you have with people throughout your day.
I think that makes sense, but I don't think it's the same. It's because it's a good thing. I get the causation thing. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think good, like those interactions are the cause of someone being happy. Maybe happier people have more social interactions because they're like, hey, I don't want to kill myself today. Newspaper guy or whatever, you know?
Yeah, but I wonder if that leans into the like fake it till you make it mentality of like, then more people should have those casual interactions, but then more people would be happier and because that they're just interacting with people more.
Well, there are people, I'm sure there are people who actually get joy out of talking to people, but I would say people like me, for example, probably, like, I think it's the other thing where it's like, yeah, I'm just like waving at you because maybe I'm in a fake good mood, but like we're both lying to each other. We don't want to be here, you know? Everybody's kind of just lying to each other.
I'm not lying. I'm here because I enjoy it.
Here, like on this earth, or like at your job or whatever.
I mean, on this podcast, let's not get carried away here. All right,
That's what I'm saying. People like in regular interactions, it's like, oh, going to work every day. Oh, so if I'm driving to work, I'm probably not having many interactions. My interactions are probably at work. So it's just like, hey, morning, Tim, type shit. So I'm assuming people who are doing that are just like, they're kind of in the mode of like, I'm dead inside and I'm just putting up a thing. Or they really mean it, which is crazy to me. But
I mean, looking at this non-existent research paper is accurate. If they're legit about it, they are probably just that kind of person who enjoys it and is happier because of it.
Yeah.
So you might actually be wrong on your assessment.
You know, I'm not going to trust random Reddit guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. It was just something interesting that I thought about because one of the things that I realized about the quarantine is that I don't have very many of those anymore. Like before, the people at grocery store near me, they would recognize me and they'd kind of like drop casual things. So like one dude like would remember because when I go to a grocery store, I buy my regular groceries plus one thing I've never had before, and so he like picked up on that and he would ask me about it like the next time I came in. So it was kind of cool. I liked it. I kind of liked it, but I also wanted to just get the heck out of there. But now looking back on it, I miss it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, would you prefer a world where it was just robots delivering your groceries?
I think I thought I would until this past like 9 months or whatever. I think these last 9 months. Yeah, I think these like the last 9 months really made me realize like maybe the robot takeover isn't a good thing. Maybe humans do need human interaction.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Steady, consistent human interaction and running into strangers or people like you vaguely know.
Yeah.
Because I think younger Yazeed, and by that I mean like literally like a year ago Yazeed, like just before the pandemic started, always thought like, I don't need acquaintances, I just need close friends. But now I realize like, you need acquaintances too, maybe.
Yeah, I guess. Like, you need to have friends that you don't care about. In a way where it's like, you know, I kind of know that person, but I don't actually want to talk to that person.
A little bit of that, but also it's like you and I have known each other for so long, like we grew up together in effect, like legitimately became adults together. That sounds sounds sexual in nature. I don't mean that, but like we just grew up. It's like a lot of our stories are shared stories.
We
like,
became
we don't
men together.
Yeah, we became men together. There was that sauna no, I mean, like we don't have a lot of like shared story. Like we have, like a lot of our stories are shared stories in a way. But like if you meet a stranger, then you can tell them like random garbage, and that they can tell you random garbage, and neither of you needs to care because that isn't really important until like you've interacted regularly like that for a long time.
Yeah.
Like if I told you a story and you were in that story, I would look bad for forgetting you were in that story.
Yeah. I was hanging out with my dumbass friend. God, I fucking hate him. Anyway, he smelled really bad. And, yeah. I mean,
yeah, basically that. So it's, I don't know. I think storytelling has also been something I enjoy, like being a part of, both like hearing someone's story and also like telling a story.
Yeah. Do you think? Well, it's like my whole thing with preservation, and those stories are just spoken and they're just kind of between people at a time. But how do you think, or do you think those stories should be like preserved?
No. How many dumb things that are like, like in the grand scheme of things, like completely pointless, and like even to the two of us, like only like minorly important in building our relationship, but is like a hilarious memory that I recall and I'll like tell people about.
Yeah.
It's quite a few, but I don't think they need to be like penned down.
I think
stored for later.
I think it's like Coco, where you've seen Coco, right?
Yes.
Yeah, where like basically you are only alive as long as the stories of you are alive. The memory of you is alive. So within your family, I guess it makes sense to perpetuate the stories. Like at a certain point, no one remembers your 450th grandfather, unless they do, which is cool. But that stuff is mostly dead these days. So it's like, my family should remember the funny story of when I shit my pants at the buffet, but like the world doesn't need to know that.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, I don't even know if your family needs to remember that necessarily.
Well, my kids can be like, hey, remember dad, he shit himself? Haha. You know? It's like...
Yeah. I don't know. I think you and I have just a different view on that kind of stuff. I think unless it's like a important thing to talk about, I don't know if it would be there. Like I if I had children, I struggle to know what kind of story. Like if my brother had children, I would struggle to know what kind of stories I would tell about my brother to his kids, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know what stories I would tell, like, oh, one time your brother and I were doing, like, X, Y, Z. And that's partially because I have a really bad memory. So I don't actually, like, commit all of that to, like, permanent memory. I only remember, like, little things occasionally. Or, like, I remember, like, the major events and then, like, some minor things. But everything else is just, like, gone.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I try to remember a bunch of stuff because besides, like, just facts... One time, my brother and I went to Food City. The ground beef was on sale. Like, just telling that kind of a story doesn't actually make anybody care. It's like, oh, Yazeed's dead now, but let me tell you a story about the way that he was. Like, that's what people want to hear. Anybody who would care at all about you. Yeah, to me, the whole thing is, like, when people die. Because you could talk about stories that we have together where it's like, oh, remember 5 years ago where I shit my pants? It's like, yeah, okay, this is an annual thing. We could talk about it as much as we want. But
man shits himself annually is what he just said to me. It's on my clock. Zenobia knows about it.
But then that becomes the thing where it's like, oh, you know, pooping Yazeed or pooping whoever. It's like, that's the story. Until a few generations later when no one cares anymore. But that's just how people are, I guess.
I don't know.
You don't need to, like... Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like if you were gonna try to like preserve a story for the next generation, you kind of have to start telling those kinds of stories when the other person's still alive.
Well, you can, but it's kind of also on the person to, like, towards the end of someone's life, in a perfect world, if they know that something is like they're coming to an end or whatever, they can start to be like, you guys remember, like, you start to kind of throw in the little things about how you want people, like the stories you want people to tell about you, not about that time that you like punched your friend in the face when you got super mad at him and you regret it for the rest of your life. I don't know, but the other stuff, it's like you want people to remember you by the funny things, like that kind of stuff.
I got you. What kind of stories would you want people to know about you then?
I don't have many. So like that's what I'm saying. I don't think of anything in terms of events or certain whatever. It's not like, oh, Joseph was a great man. He went to the University of whatever. Like, no one. I don't care. But if it's like, oh, Joseph was funny one time, he did this and he was whatever. But those are stories that other people should. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't know what people like about me. It's like hard for me to tell. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to be like, hey, let me tell you guys.
There's a jerk thing I can say to that, and there's a not jerk thing I can say to that. I'm going to opt for the not jerk thing to say about that. I like you because I think that you're I think you're a smart person, and I enjoy the things that you talk about. Like, I enjoy your thought process, if that makes sense.
Thank you. One person, I got my hair cut last week, and the haircut lady said I look smart. And that's like the second or third person who said that in the past couple of years, and I really don't like that. I don't know how I can look smart. Is it the glasses?
It's partially the glasses, because when you take off your glasses, I gotta say,
like a fucking barbarian.
No, I don't know. I do think you look smart.
She even said, she had to like catch herself, and she's like, in a good way. I mean that in a good way. It's like, people tell me I look like a nerd. That's basically what the thing is. I don't know.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You look like you work with your hands for a living, but not in a manual labor kind of way.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I don't know. But again, yeah, people claim to see like a whatever, and it's hard to see that from your own perspective. So it's hard to like sell yourself and your life story when you don't actually know if that's the cool thing to people.
When you have children, I know what story. If you have children, I know what story
no.
I'm gonna tell you.
Is it the fake story that you keep?
No. Listen, I'm only gonna tell that story one more time, and we
At
all
my
know
wedding?
that's gonna happen. No.
At my funeral,
The fact that you and
matter.
Snovia literally sat me down, you're like, you cannot tell that story.
This is a fake story. It's not true.
Me up. It's entirely a made up story. No, I'm gonna probably tell that like the reception as like a stand-in for the speech I have to give as the best man.
Yeah. Also, wedding planning has been super stressful. Like writing my vows is something that I don't.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's very stressful. So this past week has been very like, because we did our engagement photos, so it's becoming a bit more real, and all this stuff is happening, and we're getting married in like 10 weeks. So yeah, it's quite a bit. It's a lot. Yeah.
Well, listen, if it makes you feel any better, which it might not, at one of my friend's weddings where I was a groomsman, he started crying while he was trying to read his vows, and no one could hear what he was saying. He was crying so hard. So there's a chance that might happen to you too.
That's a good cover, where it's like, I think I'm just gonna freestyle it, and then I show up and just start bawling. It's like, it's okay. It was just so emotional.
You have to have a piece of paper with you, because he did. Otherwise, it just looks like you.
I'll cry onto it, so it's just like sopping wet. It's like, oh no, this is the most beautiful thing ever written, and it's gone.
Or you just, or what, you just like break down crying, and you just hand it over to me, and I take it, and I put it in one of my pockets, and it's never seen again. I got you.
Yeah. But yeah.
No, I'd tell the sexy apple story. I think that's just, that it to me is like one of the core pieces of how we became friends.
Yeah, it's
I mean, I was like, that's our first non-antagonistic interaction.
It's the first time I ever looked in your eyes and didn't see hatred.
Yeah, that's probably true.
That was like a bit of a smirk.
I'll also probably tell them how we became friends one day.
Yeah. Well,
But not until they're older. I don't want to like poison the well. Like they gotta have like regular friends and like go about regular people life, and I'll tell them like how messed up I am as a person. Like,
is this your kids or my kids?
Your kids? I would never tell my kids that story. That's
yeah. Well, the crazy thing is that we have this podcast, and unless whatever all the stuff gets taken down for some reason, then our kids will be able to just watch like 150 hours of us talking, which is pretty rad. Like if I had that of my dad from before I was born, it'd be pretty crazy.
Would you actually watch it though?
Well, specifically for me, because I don't really like know my dad super well, so it would be valuable for me. That's kind of what I'm saying. If I get hit by a truck or whatever when my kid's 3, it's like, oh shit. Well, at least you have this. It's cool. I don't know.
True. That part is true. This would be like the heartfelt moment where they start to cry a little bit, I imagine, when you're talking about like this future that could happen and it actually does.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't. I'm making up a fanfic right now.
Yeah, if a monster truck runs me over while I'm, I don't know, jet skiing, then I'm out of here. I'm trying to go out in a super cool way, not just like stroke or whatever. If I'm manifesting my death, I gotta make it hardcore as shit.
When I was asking people in college how would they want to die, which sounds very dark, but it was actually quite interesting. Your answer was the most boring one I got.
Well, yeah, your death should be boring, ideally.
No, it's got to be fun and exciting. Not fun. It's got to be exciting. Zenobia's was the most heart-wrenching.
What was hers?
She has a nemesis her whole life.
Oh, yeah.
And that one day she comes home and they stab her, and then they while she's like holding the stab wound, they sit down on her couch and they talk it out, and Zenobia forgives them finally, and then she passes away.
Yeah, it's very poetic.